Hi guys, welcome back to Hitpoint In, and welcome to my Perisno guide, version 0.9. Yeah, I guess it's gonna be 2 hours of pure brain power at least. Today we're just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna share with you all of the information, tips and tricks, and the things that I've learned while playing Perisno, and we're gonna make a guide out of it, and it's gonna be great, and ponies and rainbows and sunshine will dawn upon the world. So first of all, we are going to talk about best character builds and how to level them. Never mind. Before we do that, I'm going to show you exactly what's my current status on my playthrough on day 483. So, just to show you guys that I know what I'm talking about, I've conquered the entire world. Except Fountain Hall, but we're going to discuss about Fountain Hall later. And the reason why I left it last. Because, well, Fountain Hall is slightly on the bugged side. But anyway, this place is conquered. I have a big army. I can have 420 soldiers. In my army, I have a lot of companions, a lot of prisoners, and an insane character. Level 40 with 36 strength, agility 24, intellect 31, and charisma 24. What's up, Chris? So yeah, I should dismantle these. The chosen warriors. There's some. There's these ladies. I'll disband them all because I don't want my. Not really. My stats are still affected. What's currently affecting my stats, I wonder? Or who, more exactly? You love you some outdated 420 jokes? Of course you do. I'm not exactly sure which soldiers affect my stats, but I'd like to eliminate it and show you guys exactly what I have on my character without any stats. So I'm just going to disband this army. I'm not going to save, just going to disband. So nobody affects my stats, so you guys can clearly see. No, sorry, forget about that. So you guys can clearly see what's been going on with my character until this point. It's gonna take a while, doesn't it? You know what? Come on, just tell me that things went down. Okay, things went down. It's fine. It's fine with these stats. So the first thing that I'd like to discuss with you would be if there are any changes to the skills of the characters, and then I'm going to discuss with you guys what would be some very good level 1 character builds. Okay? Let's see. Anything changed in Iron Flesh? Nope, not really. I don't usually invest into Iron Flesh because I don't feel like I need the health. So I just don't go for it. Plus I have a lot of strengths. Each point into strength gives you 1 extra point into HP, so I kinda have that going for me, so I don't see any point in investing into Iron Flesh. Power Strike 11, I just went with Power Strike 11 because it's simply insane. The difference in this mod is that Power Strike goes up to 15, so you can pump up that strength up to 45, and you can bump this Power Strike up to 15, so keep that in mind. Power Throw, the same like Power Strike, you can bring it up to 15. Power Draw, now with Power Draw, I'm not sure if it goes beyond 10. I'm not sure, and don't quote me on that. But if it's this, if the same rules apply to Power Strike and Power Throw, then also Power Draw should go up to 15. Yo, Grego, I'm gonna read in a second. Welcome to the end, my man. Alright, I read it. Thank you. When it comes to Weapon Master, it can go up to 10. It's the same like in the other games. Shield, likewise. Athletics, very good for when you're on foot. Riding is very good for when you're on horseback. And if you don't use a horse and you're simply on foot, Athletics also helps you a little bit with pathfinding, with movement speed on the map. Horse archery, don't go into, if you're building a horse archer, don't go beyond horse archery 6, because anything beyond horse archery 6, you won't be able to see the difference. So there's literally no point into going for. Looting, as you can see, I have looting 0 on my character because usually I specialize a companion into looting. And you'll see that in this mod, it's very easy to specialize your companions into certain skills. They level up very, very fast, or they gain skills very, very fast. Foraging allows the party to forage for 5 per skill level. And I don't have a lot of foraging on my main character, but the foraging skill increases based on some of the soldiers that you can have. Because I had some elven infantry, some elven special units, my foraging was bumped up to 10. But again, this is a skill that I usually specialize on one of the companions. It's currently 10 simply because I utilize... it's currently bumped up simply because I utilize a certain type of units. For trainer, again, these can get bumped up by a certain type of units, and it's good to have trainer on your main character and all of the companions because trainer stacks. Sadly, leadership doesn't stack, but we're going to get to leadership in a second. There's something special with it as well. Tracking is useless. I usually specialize my companion into... the companion that I specialize into pathfinding also specialize into tracking. Tactics, the person that I specialize into engineering, I also specialize into tactics. Pathfinding is good on your own character because you provide that passive bonus. So if you have 2, you provide a +1. If you have 5, you provide a +2. If you have an 8, you provide a +3. And if you have 10, you provide a +4 to the party. So still very good to also, if you have extra points, also spec your main character into pathfinding. But we're also specking another companion into pathfinding as well, just so we're covering all points. Spotting, useless on your main character. Again, the person in charge of pathfinding will also be in charge of spotting. Inventory management, I could get away with 2 inventory management. It was enough for me. If you feel like it's not enough, bump it up to 4. But nothing beyond 4. You don't need any more than 4 inventory management. You'll be perfectly fine. Wound treatment, surgery, and first aid. These, again, are your medical skills. The only one that's worth leveling is surgery on your main character. Because, again, you provide that passive bonus of +4. So currently, because I have 10 surgery, I have a maximum of 14 surgery currently affecting my characters. That's very good. If you have the extra points, also bring first aid in the mix. Practically, your companions will never go under 30%. Thus, their party skills will always be active. That's pretty good. Engineering, useful for sieges. I just specialize one of my companions into engineering. It's not that big of a deal. Persuasion is good on your main character because it you can convince people to do whatever you want. It's useful for convincing other lords to join your faction. So it's a good skill to have on your main character. I also specialize another vassal with persuasion for when I send that... sorry, not a vassal. Another companion with persuasion for when I send them to, I don't know, convince a king to broker peace for negotiations. Very good on one of those companions. Now, prisoner management. This is different. Every level of the skill increases the prisoner to trooper ratio by 1 out of 10, minus 2 prisoners per skill point. Now, prisoner management is very good on your character. Currently, how it works, I can have up to 136 prisoners, and the more soldiers you have, the more prisoners you can get. It's something insane. For example, let's quit without saving and go back to my full army capacity that we had, 347. We can have 392 prisoners. It's something insane. After some major battles, where you can capture massive amounts of prisoners, you can just sell them and you receive 20k gold from a ransom broker. It can get pretty silly pretty fast. But then you're asking yourself, how come you get so many prisoners? Well, I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. Why can you get so many prisoners? A little bit in the section where how to make money. Okay? Okay. Now, leadership. With the leadership that I've noticed, Every point increases maximum number of troops you can command by 10, increase your party morale, and reduce troop wages by 5. This can be increased up to 15, exactly like Power Strike, Power Throw, and Power Draw. It can be increased up to 15. So if you manage to bring your charisma up to 45, you can have a whopping 15 leadership, which, well, practically gives you 150 soldiers, and you bring morale and troop wages down by 75%. So, my god, it doesn't stack. Leadership doesn't stack like in other mods, but you can bump it up to 15. I didn't bump it up beyond 10 because really I didn't need to. I think from here on out, if I level up, I'm simply going to be adding some extra charisma, or maybe go for strength, or practically at this point I feel like leadership is enough for what I have, or for what I need. I might just dump the rest of the points into charisma because I already reach into like 30 and I don't need anything beyond 30. So another thing that I need to discuss is you receive random increase in attributes once every 2 weeks. You and your companions receive a random increase in attributes once every 2 weeks. Random pointed to strength, random pointed to agility, random pointed to intellect. For example, I only leveled up to 30 my strength. Those extra 6 have I've received them from random events. So keep that in mind. And also, your companions have the same system. They will receive random increases in their attributes once in a while. Also, if you maximize your relations with lords, let me show you. Political and courtship, list of known lords by relations. If you maximize your relation with lords, and after you've reached above 95, I think, but just increase it to 100 and you'll be fine. Once you increase it to 100 and then you talk with them, depending on their personality, they will give you an extra attribute point. So, for example, cunning lords give you +1 into intellect. Benevolent lords or upstanding lords will either give you charisma or strength. So the idea is, if you make friends, you're going to receive extra attribute points. And you're not the only one who's going to receive these attribute points. They will also apply to your companions as well. So you can snowball pretty insanely as you go towards the late game, like you guys can see my character. And the last thing that I need to talk about, trade. Not worth it on your main character. Although there's a build to start off with 10 trade, which I'm going to show you guys into a second. But I don't feel like it's worth it. It's simply better to spec on one of your companions. Okay, so that's the end with the skill discussion. Let's now go ahead and go to the character creation screen and show you guys the most interesting builds that I found in the game until now. And I'll give you my recommendations, which one I find the best. So, let's just get in there and I'll tell you guys what I know, alright? As soon as the game launches, you know. Hello, Skiefred. Welcome to the inn. So, continue. Yeah, I guess we can talk about these options. Toggle Fog of War. Practically everything is hidden. Once you discover it, it will remain on the map. You can have it on or off. It really doesn't matter. It's not that difficult. True proficiency levels. I'm not exactly sure how... Yes. If you feel like the units are simply too overpowered, you can bring these to half. That's how it works. Practically makes the game easier overall. I usually just keep it on standard. Toggle hard mode, I keep it disabled because, well, I like the middle ground. I don't want to go on that super difficulty, but hey, you have that option there. Okay, now, as you can see from other mods, the character creation screen is a little bit different. You can choose man or woman, but the change is still the same. Man has +1 strength, woman has +1 agility. That's how it works. Going to race, you have humans, elves, dwarves, giants. The only thing... I'm going to kind of explain how you can min-max certain builds, but that's just for those who want to get the most efficient level 1 character. And I'm going to talk about them now. So, One of the builds that you could go for example, is the trade from level 1 build. And that would be, you need to be a dwarf. Hey, Mr. Caxelot, welcome back to the end, dude. You need to be a dwarf, you need to be a traveling merchant. You can go crafting, smith, and then why did you begin adventuring? Money and power. And as you can see, you can start from level 1, trade 10. And also have a decent amount of strength skills, so it's not that bad. Not that bad. So, if you really want to go for that money-making progress, go for this build. You also have a decent amount of engineering, which is pretty cool. Inventory management is already at 4, so you're not gonna need to add anything more in that regards. The only kind of weak part about your character will be your combat skills. Like usual with traveling characters, you're going to need to specialize and start speccing into combat stats as soon as possible. And also, you don't have any persuasion, you just have persuasion 1. So you will still need to invest into your charisma. Again, I don't find it very interesting because... I don't find it very good because you can always spec one of your companions into trading. But since one of the main ways of making money in Perisno is through trade, this character might be of interest to you, so that's why I've shown it. How long am I planning to stream? I'm going to be streaming until I finish the guide, Mr. Caxelot. Okay, another build that I have. Now, I know some of you guys are interested in the most leadership builds from level 1. Now, with the most leadership build, you gotta be human. And suddenly you're going to be disappointed. You can be either a religious zealot or a impoverished noble. You'll need to go reading and squire. Now that's it. Why did you begin an adventure really doesn't matter what you go for. Sadly, from level 1, you can only have +5 strength. So it's kinda... Hey, Pav. Yep, it's doing good. I'm doing a guide right now. So I won't be able to communicate with you guys that much. So yeah, sadly I'm kind of disappointed in the leadership build. Although the nice part is you start from level 1 right off the bat with 15 charisma. So that's kind of cool. You don't have to invest that much towards the late game. But still, there are other builds out there that you can have a lot more success with. There's also a looter build that you can go for. For the looter build, you can actually be any of the races. And you need to go thief, stealing, bandit, and money and power. Looting 10 directly from level 1. And because it's spec'd on you, you're going to be having 14 looting, because you provide that passive +4 bonus, remember that. So, you're thinking, oh my god, 14 looting from level 1, this is insane! Well, the bad part about this build is that you don't have any leadership, your combat stats are pretty trash, no persuasion, and your stats are kind of weak in the early game. Plus, having writing 1 is quite a big disadvantage in Perisno because there are a lot of mounts out there, a lot of mounts in the game that you're going to be needing a lot of writing to properly equip and to be capable of surviving in battle. And besides that, the biggest weakness of them all is the fact that you can simply specialize a companion into looting, and he will most likely, well, he will not do a better job than you because he will only be able to reach 10 while you can reach 14. But in the end game, I had so much money that I didn't know what to do with it, and I did not play with the looting build. So that's kind of sad. Yeah, so trust me, don't go for the looting build. It's not worth it. But I'm showing it to you guys in case you know, these are just guidelines. These are just suggestions. I'm showing you these builds because, you know, they're possible and they're interesting to try out if you want to fiddle around with them. And the last build that I have for you guys... Oh, I've tried to go for a max archer build. You can only bring the power draw up to 4, so it's kind of... Nah. It's kind of weak. But I have a interesting build that I'd like to share with you guys. Now, this interesting build is... I think it's the most OP one. You gotta be human. You have to be a noble. Riding. You want to be a squire. And you want to go Wanderlust. And you start off with riding level 8 from level 1. You also get some decent combat stats. You don't receive any points into Iron Flesh, which is perfectly okay for me because I don't invest points into Iron Flesh because I feel like it's a wasted stat. And leadership is already 4, which is pretty insane. So this is usually the build that I go for and that I've utilized in the playthrough that I've shown you at the beginning of the guide. And it did wonders for me. The fact that I could that I could mount any animal from level 1 was pretty insane and gave me quite a hefty advantage in battles. Besides that, I will have to do an honorable mention, Giant. Any combination Giant, you have a hefty amount of strength, no stats in the other departments. So if you want to be the epitome of a beef boy with just all of the stats like a veteran warrior, I don't know, swimming, let's see, I guess bounty hunter, and personal revenge and stuff, you can be a pretty big beefy boy. So 27 strength with 7 iron flesh, power strike up the hills. It's pretty insane. But the only drawback with giants is they are big lumbering oafs that are pretty dumb. So you'll have to make massive investments into agility, intellect, and charisma to bring them up with the rest of the stuff. But it's going to make things very, very easy. You won't have to invest anything into strength, and you can practically one-shot things from level 1. Besides that, certain races have predetermined characters, like the human has 2 predetermined characters. A human from a small village on Perisno's western coast, he has its own story. He's a merchant character, kind of a weaker version of the level 10 trading level 1 character that I've shown you before, but he does have a little story. He's kind of a well-rounded merchant. And then we have a Cold Island from the north, practically a Viking-style character. You start off with strength 15, agility 9, so pretty rounded character overall, plus decent power strike, iron flesh, and weapon master. Besides that, I don't think the elf has any predetermined, no. But the dwarf, now the dwarf has a Carnoth noble that you can go for. You start off with 19 strength. Agility and intellect are not that good, but you can put points into the character screen. Put some extra points in there to just round the character up. The drawback with this guy is you have some decent fighting skills, but the engineering and trading 6, I don't like those. I just don't like those. They feel like a little bit of a waste, but they have their own story. These are predetermined characters, as I said. So again, my favorite one is this one, Riding, Squire, and Wanderlust, simply because you have that whopping riding 8 right off the bat. You can ride the tigers and the wolves and the elephants and the everythings right off the bat, which is pretty goddamn sweet. And that is it on character creation. Those are the best characters that I came up with. Oh, also, besides that, if you press continue and you become an adventurer and you know, I'll make what I said, you can also add the extra 4 attribute points and the rest of the skill points, so you can further add and round your character to see what's going on. Usually what I recommend in this game is to start investing into strength right off the bat, bring this up to 30, because all troops are incredibly high level in Perisno. They can reach a whopping level 60 just like that, no problem. So you will need a lot of strength to be on par with the enemies that you're going to be facing. So you will have to invest into strength up to 30 right off the bat. Yeah, it is quite different. I actually recommend that you round up the character like so. and then put the extra point into strength. Just to have, just to be able to reach the 3 thresholds for intellect, and in case you want to add some extra shields. And then simply go into Power Strike, just increase from early levels your strength. And yeah, I do recommend that you go for 30. 30 strength, that's what I went through, and it did wonders. Hey Saeed, on Wednesday, I'm going to be playing a World of Ice and Fire. Tomorrow. Okay, besides that, after you reach strength 30, recommend that you don't invest anything into agility, because you already have riding 8, so why would you? Unless you want to increase your power weapon master, but you already increase that passively simply by utilizing the weapon, so I don't see any point. Practically, with this build, another cool thing is the fact that you have riding 8, you don't have to invest anything into agility anymore, so that's pretty sweet. Unless you want to go for a horse archer build, and if you really want to play a foot soldier, I recommend to go to one of the other builds that I've shown you guys, not this one, simply because this riding 8 will hurt a foot soldier. It will practically a wasted stat for them if they're not going to utilize a mount. So keep that in mind. Besides that, after you've invested into strength and you decide exactly kind of where's the sweet spot. Actually, no. Wait a second. No, you have to invest into agility for something. Let me go ahead and find out exactly how much you need to invest for it. 1 second. I'm just going to add some random points here. Doesn't matter which. I need to go on my other character. I remembered you do need to invest a certain amount of points into agility if you want to wear the best shield in the game. Yeah. So if you want to wear the Aegis, which is the strongest shield in the game, you will need to have shield 5. So you need to at least invest 15 points into agility. So you need to bring agility up to 15. I just remembered. Sorry about that. It's currently 24 simply from the random points that I received on the course of the game. Will there be an intelligent giant riding a dragon in Perisno? I don't think you can have access to dragons, but there are dragon riders in the game, which you can mount during battle. So technically, yes, you can have an intelligent giant riding a dragon in this game. Okay, besides that, then you have to make a choice in how much do you want to invest. So after you're satisfied with your agility, you have to decide how much you want to invest into leadership. What's going to be your target? I feel like leadership 8 is a good sweet spot. From here on out, if I find a book, I'm going to read leadership and I'm going to bring it up to 9. I'm not going to invest any more points into charisma unless I have nothing else to do with those points. For example, at this point, I already have intellect 30, so I don't need anything else in the rest of the stats. I'm just going to dump everything else into charisma. So this is my last thing. But as I said, strength, agility, put charisma, bring it up to 24, and then invest into intellect. Bring your intellect up to 30, and I recommend that you spec your character into leadership, persuasion, prisoner management, surgery, pathfinding, trainer. These are your priority stats. These will help you immensely in the late game. And if you guys were listening during where we discussed about skills, which was, I think, the first topic of the guide, you'll understand why. Okay, so once you have 30 into intellect, just dump the rest of the points into charisma and you'll be perfectly fine. So yeah, that's all that I need to talk about best builds. Again, I need to remind you that every 2 weeks you're going to be receiving random points into strength, agility, intellect, or charisma. You and your companions will receive these. If you maximize your relations with lords and talk with them after you've maximized the relation, they will also give you attribute points based on their personality. I know that cunning lords give you intellect, benevolent and upstanding lords, I think they give you charisma. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm positive that each lord with 100 relations, I think the threshold is 90, 95, either 90 or 95, but just max it to 100. When you talk with them, they'll give you and your companions an attribute point. So yeah, that's going to be it for best character builds, and we've discussed about skills. Let's talk about companions and stable parties. Now, you can do two things. Two little things. The first thing is to go for this party, and the stable party will be, this is going to be the initial party that you're going to be going for. Kara, Silvethiel, Tylen, Uldine, Shijin, Kengish, Arcanus, Tamaris, and Zyra. If Tylen or Uldine, if one of them is missing, you replace them with Marcus. And out of all of these guys, all of them are nobles, except Zyra. Zyra will be a permanent member of your party. In the second party, you'll have Zyra, Agnare Stormcloak, Fazl, Dietrich, Alendil, and Antiope. Zyra is a good pathfinder, Agnare is a good emissary, Fazl is a good trader, Dietrich is a good trainer-tactician, Alendil is a very good doctor, Antiope is a very good looter. Or you could go to the camp options, change game settings, and disable companion complaints. And you don't have to worry about a stable party anymore. You can just have all companions. Yeah. Yep. So it's your choice. It's your choice. I gave you the stable parties. If you don't want to hassle with this, just disable companion complaints and you'll be perfectly fine. Okay, so that's the party. Oh, yes, and just to give you guys a heads up, you can make Kara, Silvethiel, Tylen, Uldine, Marcus, Shijin, Kengish, Arcanus, and Tamaris into nobles. The only noble that you need to watch out for is Tamaris, because she's a cunning lord, so you need to give her at least 3 fiefs so she doesn't bitch about it. So she doesn't complain about the fact that you haven't given her enough fiefs. So you don't receive minus points into relations. Okay, that's pretty much it. That was quite easy. Now, we're going to discuss on how to level up companions. And it's actually going to be easy because there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3 types. 3 types of companions. Hey Savants, welcome back to the end, dude. These 3 types of companions are the following. There are warrior companions, which you simply buff up their combat stats and you make them beef monsters that just murder. There are intellect companions. You specialize these companions into providing you with a certain skills for your party. Practically specialize them into party skills. And then there are the noble guys, which you just level them up to become nobles. And the good thing about that is that most of your companions that you're going to be making into vassals are already being they already have the stats required. Let me go on Silvethiel, for example. Oh yeah, and Silvethiel, as you can clearly see, she's riding a raptor. Yep, you can have raptors in this one. Yeehaw. Okay, calm it down, game. So, usually you want to have at least 15 strength on a... so, as I always say in all of my guides, for a vassal you need 3 things. Strength, trainer... strength, leadership, and pathfinding. Trainer is a secondary. Indeed it is, my man. Indeed it is. Strength, trainer, and pathfinding. Strength first. Did I say trainer again? Strength, leadership, pathfinding. Those are the three that are most important. Strength, because strength is taken into consideration when the game does auto-calculates battles between AI. Leadership, because it's going to increase the army capacity of your vassal. And pathfinding, because it's going to help them zip around the map faster. You would also like to put trainer on them, because as long as they stick with you in the party, that trainer is going to stack and help out with your soldiers, and you're going to be able to bring them to monstrous levels. So that's all you need on vassal companions. And it's at least 15 strength. Most of your noble companions will have more than that, so you don't have to worry. That's good. Hey Patch, welcome back to D&D. And hello Savants too. No, that's it. That's all I have to say about these guys. Now I'm going to talk about the intellect companions, which I have over further down here. These are my int boys and girls. Now Fazl, I think I specialized him into trade and persuasion. Fazl, I simply dumped points into his charisma and brought it up to 30. I've specialized him into trading and persuasion for when I need to sell stuff and for when I need to negotiate stuff. Besides that, once I've reached 30 into them, I simply specialize them into combat stats to further increase their survivability. Besides these two stats, I also try to put as much points into trainer as I could. Okay. Besides that, let's see. Who else? Slyther. Good day, good sir. For you, I spec'd you into becoming my Pathfinder. And with the extra points, I also went into Trainer. So with Pathfinder, you just want to put points into Pathfinding, Spotting, and Tracking being secondary stats. You need to prioritize Pathfinding and Trainer, and then afterwards, Spotting and Tracking. Once you've maximized these, you just spec them into combat stats to increase his survivability. Usually what I like to do with these guys is put them in the strongest armor, give them a crossbow and a shield, and then put them in the back line with the archers to survive as much as possible. And that applies to all intellect characters, not just to Slyther. Fazl has the same setup, but he's better with a bow, so I gave him a bow. And now Zyra. Let's see what she has. Sometimes, when you're tracking down a band of somethings, I guess. But it's not that useful. Sadly, it's too sometimes to be prioritized. Now with Zyra, we made her into our tactician engineer, so practically we spec'd her into engineering, tactics, and again, trainer. These are her priority stats. Afterwards, again, combat stats, and she became so good with a bow and arrow that I replaced her crossbow with a longbow, as you can see, and she is killing it. Right. And yeah, that's another thing. Once Slyther increases his power draw beyond, let's say, power draw 7, or at least power draw 7, I'm going to switch out the crossbow and give him a bow and arrow, because bows scale very well into the late game, and they outscale the crossbows. Okay, Antiop. With Antiop, we went for looting and foraging. Those were the stats that I've prioritized on her. She's my looter girl, but since foraging is existent in this mod, I've also spec'd her into this because it's still a agility-based stat, an agility-based skill. Besides that, again, putting as many points into trainer as I can, and besides that, just speccing her into combat stats. Right, and my last one, Alendel. And I think this one's the most important, which Alendel, don't judge him, he prefers to wear the lady's armor. It's his shtick. Spec'd him into surgery and trainer as a priority, and then wound treatment and first aid as secondaries. But once you have all of these maxed, again, you just put those points into his combat stats and make him a beast. And yeah, those are all of the companions. When it comes to fighter companions, I can give you guys Thrak over here as a good example. With Thrak, I simply spec'd him. Yo, yeah, he's a beast. Thrak's a huge beast. I spec'd him into Power Throw. What I like to do with my fighter guys, I make them into powerful infantrymen that are specialized in Power Throw. And the reason for Power Throw is the fact that Orolo Leaf Bombs are existent in the game. Now these puppies, these balls, are... I guess I have to say that they're OP. They're OP, especially once you have Power Throw 10. They scale incredibly well with Power Throw. These do AoE damage, and the person who gets hit, the exact target who gets hit by the bomb, goes into a berserk state and starts attacking his own friends, his own companions. It is insane. So usually what I do with my fighter companions, I just spec them, I increase their survivability and focus on Power Throw and equip them with leaf bombs. And that's what I do. It's simply insane. It's awesome. But besides that, you can also make them into heavy cavalry. You can make them into shock soldiers with giant two-handed weapons. It's your choice. It's your choice what you want to do with those boys. As you can see, there are a lot of combat companions that I haven't made into vassals because I didn't need to. Okay, so that's it for how to level up the boys. Next up we're going to be discussing will be troop trees and best soldiers. Okay. So, quit without saving, load, go back here. There we go. We're going to go to reports. We're going to go view troop trees. We're going to talk about each faction. And then I'm going to discuss about the best units in each tier. What I consider to be the best archers, the best infantry, the best mounted units, and so on and so forth. Okay? Best soldiers overall. So first we're going to talk about, not the Zan, because the Zan are a special case, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. Let's talk about Kingdom of Perizno. Now with Kingdom of Perizno, all troop trees have common tier soldiers, and then noble soldiers down here. These three are the noble line that you're going to be going for. The maximum amount of level is 50 for these guys, and it can go up to 44 for this. What I can say is that the Kingdom of Perizno is a jack of all trades, master of none. They really remind me of Swadia from Floris. Pardon. Because they have those long bows, they have some decent tank units, decent cavalry unit, and their noble troops either become Great Knights, which are heavily armored melee cavalry, or mounted archers. Oh, and mounted archers in Perizno have enhanced horse archer AI, so they can become pretty destructive. But as I said, they're a jack of all trades, master of none. You can amass a large number of troops if you use them as your own faction culture. And you can practically fill up. These are good filler units. If you have a lack of infantry, just use Perizno Champions and Guardsmen. If you have a lack of archers, just use Dark Force Archers. And you'll be fine. Yeah, they just run around the enemy Lothric. But they do tend to get, horse archers do tend to get stuck on the edge of the map. So if you want to exploit their AI, just bring all of your soldiers in a stand your ground position or hold your position at the edge of the map, and all of the horse archers will just hit the goddamn edge, and then you're just ripe for the taking to kill. If you want to exploit the AI. So yeah, that's it. All I can say about the Kingdom of Perizno. Where they shine, I would say, would be their Perizno Ranger Knights. And I really found that their infantry to be quite useful. Yes, next troop tree. Kingdom of Tolrania. Now, I think the Kingdom of Tolrania is the weakest faction in the game. They're pretty similar to, again, Swadians, although with a little extra focus on infantry. But they're just weak. These guys are usually the first kingdom to fall in most playthroughs. In all of my playthroughs on Parysno, Tolrania was the first to die. If I were to utilize some of their soldiers, I would take Kingsmen and Master Hackers. They're pretty good. If you can get your hands on Tolranian Squires, make them into knights directly. The Foot Knight is a little bit exposed to enemy fire. Not a good idea. Now sit with Tolrania. Let's go further on. Reich des Drachen. Now, the Reich des Drachen is a faction who specializes into mounted units. This is their main strength. The Drachen Dragoneer is a very powerful, heavily armored cavalry unit. And the Drachenreiter is just an upgrade to that. Simply an upgrade. His stats are amazing. He's hard to kill. He's a little bit on the slow side when it's come to attacking. But if you see that thing charging towards you, you're going to be scared. Also, some of their lords come with specialized units like Dragon Riders or Raptor Riders. That's a thing. Certain lords have their own household guard units that they can utilize. Another little star that's present in the Reich des Drachen is the Kaiserlich Drachen Scharfschütze. Now, the Imperial Dragon Sharpshooters are not to be underestimated. They're very powerful archers. I was easily impressed, and when I was not utilizing Elven archers, I used these guys, and they did a good job. They did a very good job. Yes, the Drachenreiter, it's interesting that it's named the Dragon Rider and he's mounted on a horse, but there are special household guard units who are riding raptors and dragons. So keep that in mind. So yeah, if you are to utilize soldiers from this tree, Kaiserliche Drachen Scharfschütze and the Drachen Dragoneers and the Drachenreiters are your best bet. Now, Drahara. With Drahara, I was surprised a little bit by the Draharan Desert Assassins. These guys come equipped with throwing weapons, so as they get into closer combat, they're pretty deadly if you unleash their throwing weapons from close range. And, okay, Mr. Coxlot. And besides that, that's it, to be honest. Heavily armored units, heavily armored mounted unit. The Draharan Wind Archer was kind of meh. Besides that, just a kind of a mediocre troop tree. The Draharan Desert Assassins, though, really impressed me with their attack speed. That's also a very good thing, but you need to combine them with other infantry that have shields to protect them, because as you can see, they don't come equipped with shields. Also, be careful, they run very, very fast besides other infantry soldiers, so they're going to be getting in the fray, they're going to be stepping in front of the shield soldiers pretty easily. Alright, anything else that I might add? If you have recruits and you don't know what to do with them, go with the mounted archers as well. And in your experience, the wind archers are somewhat spammable for mid-game? Okay, yeah, they could be useful. The drawback with these guys is that their horses are kind of weak, so they're going to be falling off. There are other options out there which are much better. That's my experience. Okay, let's move on. Macavia. Now, the Macavians have two fetishes. Axes and crossbows. These boys have some dedicated Macavian heavy marksmen. These are their strengths, practically. Their most powerful soldiers are the Macavian North Guard, Macavian heavy marksmen, which come equipped with a bladed crossbow, which can be utilized as both as a crossbow and a two-handed weapon. And they also shoot bow axes. It's weird. But again, this was the first faction that I played with, and I really enjoyed them. Plus, come on, Executor. That is just awesome. The only drawback, I wasn't impressed with their Macavian Black Knight, to be honest. I just went with Macavian Knights of Steel. They were much more efficient. So yeah, if you want to utilize this faction, go for Macavian Knights of Steel, go for Heavy Marksman, and go for Macavian Northguard. Very good tank units, the Macavian Northguard. So yeah, there you go. That's it for Macavia. Elentor. Now, there's a ongoing debate on the internet and in my channel on which faction has the best foot archers. I'm gonna have to stick with my guns and say that Elentor have the best archers in the game, the best foot archers, in the Elentor Crimson Ranger. It's even better, interestingly enough, okay, I did not want to exit the game. It's even better than their Noble line. It's insane. So yeah, if you play with Elentor, spam Elentor Crimson Rangers. Just go for them, and you're gonna be awesome. This is the faction that I've utilized to defeat the Zonback, and I've conquered the world with them. They were amazing. Yeah, you can indeed, Mr. Coxalot. Their Elentorian Knight is. If you have the room on the field of battle to utilize them, make them go into circles against the enemy, then yes, very strong. Especially very strong if you have around 50 of them and it's all to charge. Pardon. Pretty insane. Pretty insane if you get to those numbers. But if you only have 10 or, I don't know, 10 to 20 and you send them in, they'll usually get killed because it's not enough firepower to put a dent. But the Elentorian Crimson Rangers and the Elentorian Ranger are incredible, and they will shred and destroy garrisons. And if you've seen my playthrough on YouTube, you'll see them in action. They're insane. And definitely better than the other Elven faction. Okay, the Hakon Empire. Now, the Hakon Empire is kind of similar to the Empire, the Bacchus Empire in Prophecy of Pendor. They have Imperial Lancers, Imperial Spearmen, Legionnaires, Sharpshooters, and they specialize into heavy mounted cavalry. Nothing really to write home about. They do have a tendency to have throwing weapons, so that's cool. And if you are to utilize some soldiers, use their Hakon Legionnaires as infantry, with a few Hakon Imperial Spearmen put in the mix, just to deal with those pesky mounted units. A line of Hakon Sharpshooters will be pretty decent, although they are outscaled by the Macavian counterpart, so keep that in mind. And that's it. I wasn't impressed by their cavalry, to be honest. Maybe some other people had success with them. I did not. Realm of the Falcon. Now, the Realm of the Falcon is a special case. You cannot recruit from their villages. You can only recruit from their cities. And the Realm of the Falcon is not to be underestimated. They are strong. They are incredible. And I would even say that they have the strongest mounted cavalry and the strongest mounted archers in the game. Yeah, they're that stupid. They're not stupid when it comes to incredibly high tier units. And when they're in a siege defense, these Fraudstone Falcon become foot archers, and again they will rip your army apart. The Elentorian archers are still better than these guys, but these guys are not to be underestimated. And you're gonna have a hard time fighting against the Realm of the Falcon, especially on the field of battle. You're gonna have a hard time, because imagine an entire army composed of mounted units, all of an entire army. I mean, there's no unit on foot unless they have some special house guard units If one of the lords has a story where he has foot soldiers, but an entire army composed of mounted units, a part of them will just charge on you, and the other part will surround you and shoot you and kill you from afar. Terrifying, just simply terrifying to deal with. And I recommend that you deal with the Realm of the Falcon towards the late game, when their ranks become... I'm going to say, it's an ugly word, but I don't mean it in an ugly way. Their armies will get infected with other race soldiers, other civilizations, other cultures. Because that's actually going to weaken them, which is very, very interesting. And it's going to make them much more easy to handle on the field of battle. If you can get your hands on these guys, they're expensive, but they will do a lot of good work. Usually, some players have a tendency in the early game to gravitate towards the Realm of the Falcon, check who are they at war with, and then help them on their side, and simply explore and try to find armies with prisoner trains with a lot of Realm of the Falcon soldiers, and they just save all of those prisoners and hire them, and bam, you have a Realm of the Falcon army. Yeah, it's that easy. It's insane. It's stupid. Okay, let's go next. The Valahir clan. Now, these are your Nords, typical Nord faction. As you can see, they don't have any mounted units. They have a minimal amount of archers, but they're not bad. Their archers are not bad. Not even close to the elven counterpart, but they're pretty decently armored, which is nice. But these guys are sadly not the best infantry. They're not the strongest infantry that you're going to be facing in the world. But what they lack in skill, they really kill in numbers. They have huge armies roaming the lands. So usually they like to Zerg rush you, simply jump on you and kill you, and that's it. That's their main tactic for this faction. If you are to utilize any of their soldiers, just go for the Valahir Vasargl over here, and their, of course, Noble Line, which is just one option. Alright, that's all I have to say about the Valahir. The Kakoth Confederation. Now remember when I said that the Valahir are not the best infantry soldiers? The Kakoth Confederation are the best infantry soldiers. My good god, these Mounted Keepers and Iron Guardsmen are stupidly tanky. And they also have a passive bonus, a hidden passive bonus against archer fire. Now, how the AI works is when the AI shoots, they usually aim for the head. Because the dwarves are, well, dwarves, they're short. The enemy AI tends to overshoot and miss the dwarves. So from that perspective, and actually no, not from that perspective, because of that, and because of their high amounts of armor, my god, the Kakoth Confederation are easily the best infantry and the best tanks in the game. But Reval, what about the giants? We're going to talk about the giants in a second, okay? We're going to talk about, you're going to call me Archpappy again? Okay, jeez. Besides that, decent crossbow units as well. Not as good as Makavian, but they're going to get the job done. Kakoth Vanguard, again, incredibly highly armored boys. Even when they fall off their armored turds, which are pretty heavily armored, they're going to have their armor to rely upon. Did I say that they have a lot of armor? God damn it. Very hard to kill. I don't know. I don't know where the joke came up with. Marius. So yeah, if you have to utilize their soldiers, Mountain Keepers, Iron Guardsmen, High Seekers, and if you can get your hands on their Iron Fist and Vanguard, of course, utilize them. Yeah, hands down, best infantry. Geldar. Now, some people say that Geldar are the best archers. The computer says no. Yes, they do have 10 power draw, and they might have a little bit extra proficiency into archery, but their armor, their bow, their heads, and the rest of their stats are weaker than the Red Guards. So they fall in that category. If you are to utilize some soldiers from here, I actually recommend the Forest Wardens. They're good mounted archers. You can utilize them as such, or you can just tell them to dismount and utilize them as foot archers. That can also work. The Gelderin Duke is sadly simply a mounted cavalry unit. No ranged options, even though he has 9 power draw. Where's your fucking bow? My god, man. So, yeah. Kind of disappointing on that end. I'm sorry, Elentor still wins, but if you have to utilize them, go for the beauty of the Foot Knight and the Forest Warden. Okay, enough said. Kretus Monarchy. This is another faction that goes down almost instantly. They only have one fief, one castle, and I think there's one village attached to it. These guys don't have any shields. Actually, no, except the Ironclad boy, which has a pretty hefty shield. But besides that, they have a fetish for spears and bows and arrows. That's their thing. Just polearm users and bows and arrows. I'm not even sure if the Eidolon War Staff can be utilized as a lance. I don't think so, which is kind of sad. And then this dude is simply a skirmisher unit who can throw. What I've noticed with the Kretus Monarchy when I found them in prisoner trains is the fact that their Ironclad unit is impressive. The only dude that has a shield is pretty good. Well, except for the Warden as well. So that was nice. And these guys are, I guess, good shock troops. But sadly, I could not experiment with them at a decent level. The only experience that I have with these guys is Ironclad units and some Horse Hunters and stuff like that. Out of which only the Ironclad stood out. It's kind of hard to recruit Kretus Monarchy because they get defeated early in the game. And this is the type of mod that once you conquer a village, the culture of that village gets converted to the owner, to the owner culture. There, that's sadly all I can say about Kretus. Lack of shield is their downfall. Kulan Horde, another faction that tends to get defeated earlier on by the Draharan faction. Now these boys are your typical Deshar faction. Actually, not even. Yeah, I guess, yeah. Deshar faction or the native Khergit faction. These guys have bows and arrows. They have a heavily armored unit. They have the Kulan Ataman, which is actually pretty impressive. They kind of gave me a hard time when I was fighting against the Kulan Ataman soldiers that were part of the Draharan army, interestingly enough. Because, as I stated in most of my playthroughs, Drahara usually conquers Kulan Horde. I don't know why. It just goes like that. Good horse archers. Go for them. Bakal Giants. Okay, now, the Bakal boys are the... I think these guys are the superior giant faction. There are 2 giant factions. Although... Yeah, okay. Let me just check real quick. Yeah, the Bakal Giants are the superior giant faction simply from the fact that they have shields. Or at least some of them have shields. Okay, let me just get my stuff straight. Oh, no. My bad. My mistake. Nope. The Bakal Giants are the weaker giant faction. These guys, their biggest weakness is their lack of shields. Yeah, you're a big slave herder that has Bakal slave herder spears. Good for you, man. But you're also a giant meat sponge that will get shot easily by archer fire. So, these dudes are weak. I think they're one of the easiest faction to conquer, the Bakal Giants. I know it sounds stupid because, my god, they're giants, they should kick your ass. As long as you keep them at bay with archer fire, they're nothing. Just nothing. They just fall like flies. But then we come to the Sooth Giants. Now, the Sooth Giants have an advantage. They come equipped with shields. Well, except the Sooth Berserker. But the Sooth Chieftain Guard, which is easily the powerhouse of these guys, comes equipped with the Sooth Steel Shield, which is pretty insane. Also, another cool thing, their noble line has horses. Giants on giant horses. Nice. Again, they're kind of meat sponges. They're very, very tanky, and they're kind of slow to attack, but if they hit, they just destroy. So yeah, sadly they are the stronger counterpart of the two giant factions. Their weakness, again, is kind of archer fire. I know that I said, oh, they have shields. Eventually, if you have enough archers, they'll go through their shields, and they're gonna fall. So, for both factions, their biggest weakness is archer fire. Keep that in mind. I'm sorry to hear that, Mr. Coxalot. Orolo Ojibavakan. Now, the Orolo boys, because I'm not going to be saying Ojibavakan each time, the Orolo guys are... I'd like to say that they're strong, but the AI doesn't know how to utilize their strength properly. Bowmasters are shit. Orolo proven warriors are... meh, to say the least. Just meh. Their Orolo Beastmaster is, again, kind of on the meh side. Yes, he's a bear rider. It's pretty cool, but the bear stats are pretty meh. Hey, Betty, thank you for subscribing with Twitch Prime, dude. Really appreciate it. Hello, music. Welcome back to the end. So, I'm gonna have to say, their greatest... most powerful, even the basic there is kind of meh. Just Shock Troop. He's gonna die. But their most powerful unit is easily the Orolo Master Hurler. This boy comes equipped with 3 stacks of Orolo Leaf Bombs. And they're gonna be throwing those bombs at the enemy. And and I've mentioned this before, Leaf Bombs are AoE, they're grenades, they're gas grenades. They're gas grenades that do AoE damage, and the person that gets hit directly, as in face, receives the stone in the face, goes into a berserk state. It doesn't have a chance. It doesn't have a chance to cause all of them to go into a berserk state, but the dude that gets hit goes into a berserk state and attacks his fellow friends and soldiers. And that is just stupidly broken. I've seen... Imedi, thank you for becoming a follower, my man. And also for subscribing. I've seen my army chew itself apart because of these guys. So yeah, if you get your hands on Orolo Master Hurlers, they're... And if you get your hands on Orolo Leaf Bombs, again, it's... beautiful. Yeah. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Okay, Venator Empire. Now, this is a faction that you can bring into power. There's a quest chain that you need to make to help the Venator conquer a abandoned fortress, and then afterwards, they're gonna become their own faction. Keep in mind. Is there any counter to leaf bombs? Stay far away from them. Let them consume their ammo. They don't have a lot of ammo. And shields block the berserker effect. So if I'm a soldier, I keep my shield up and I get hit directly with a leaf bomb, I'm not going to go into a berserk state. You can easily counter leaf bombs with shields. But simply the high amount of leaf bombs and the AoE damage will dwindle down the enemy. Keep your distance. Try to force the enemy to eliminate their... to consume their leaf bombs. And you can also kill them from afar with archers. Archers outrange leaf bomb throwers. I'm going to explain a little bit later on what I'd like to do with leaf bombs. Okay? But now, let's discuss about the Venator Empire. These boys... they're very similar to the Hakon Empire. but they don't focus on mounted units as much. They focus more on heavy infantry. Not as strong as dwarves, though. What I do like about these guys is the Sabo Valar. The Sabo Valar is one of the only units that can I'm gonna say dual wield, but one of his swords is simply a shield. The Golden Sabo Valar sword is practically a shield in the form of a sword. I really find this cool. Really find this awesome. But that's all I can say. This unit is just pretty cool. And I haven't tested out if the Golden Sabo Valar sword can block arrows. I've easily conquered them. They didn't really put up much of a fight. But I have to admit, their infantry, their shields are pretty tanky. Oh yes, leaf bombs are incredibly OP in sieges. How do you capture Swadian militia? You can just recruit Swadian soldiers from the villages. Gucci Papucci. Alright. Let's go on. Yeah, pretty similar. He is, like Damocles from Rise. The Zan Dynasty. Alright, Zan Dynasty. Let's discuss about your little predicament as well. So, I'm not sure if you guys know. Well, if you played Parisno before, you definitely know. If you haven't played Parisno before, you're gonna find out now. There's a invasion mechanic in Parisno, and between day... No, actually, after a day 150, the Zan Dynasty will invade the coastline and start waging a blitzkrieg war on all factions, just simply all factions. If you're not careful and if you don't move swiftly, the Zan can conquer the world on their own, simply based on auto-calculating battles, because they have insane amounts of soldiers. Each Zan Lord has 2 escorts with him that simply bulk up his army to at least 650 soldiers. These are similar to the Valahir, only they tend to focus more on ranged options, and they, again, like to Zerg rush you. Biggest weakness? No shields. But Archpappy, there are shields right there. These are mid-tier soldiers. These are level 9, level 17, level 26. These are easily killable. You go through those shields like knife through paper. Like a knife through butter and a knife through tomato. Same knife. Where I do have to say where they do shine is their Zan Longbowmen, and their spearmen and heavy riders are very good in siege scenarios. But their greatest weakness is range fire. Killing them from afar is perfectly good. Oh, if you need to have them as prisoners, you just need to find a lord or a party that utilizes Swadian militia and use a hammer to defeat the Swadian militia. And if you use a hammer, that they can't die, and you're going to capture them and take them prisoner. Huh. Very specific desire, I guess. So, with the Zan, how do you stop the Zan invasion? I know that a lot of people ask this question. How I stop the Zan invasion? In siege defense. The best way to defeat the Zan Dynasty is simply in a siege defense. They're not as strong in a siege defense, and you can easily, because usually a siege battle is funneling soldiers through a small tunnel. Their numbers don't matter anymore, and I think I've defeated armies of between 6,000 and 8,000 Zan soldiers. I shit you not. It's on YouTube. You guys can go check it out. With just 600 soldiers on my end. We've been outnumbered at least 10 to 1. And we managed to successfully defend sieges. And that's how we stopped one of the Zan fronts from further conquering further conquering the continent. The best faction against the Zan dynasty is simply the superior archer fire, the Elentor. They end Zan soldiers, but only if you participate in the battle. If Zan dynasty goes into an auto-calculation battle with AI Elentor, the Zan will win simply because of the superior numbers. So be careful on that end when dealing with them. We're going to talk more about the Zan once we reach the quests section. And we're back at Kingdoms of Parisno. Let's check the troop trees in the minor factions. Female Parisno troops, exactly like the male counterparts, they're not stronger than them. So, that's cool. What else do we have? Parisno Pilgrims. Now, with the Parisno Pilgrims, I do just filler troops. Not as good. Not as good. I have a few of these guys. I just fill the ranks if I need extra infantry or extra mounted units with them. Female Parisno Pilgrims, the same situation. Male mercenaries. From the male mercenaries, the only one that I kind of had success with utilizing was the Mercenary Impoverished Knight. And it's not because of the extra level or something like that. It's simply, I had all three types of units. The Mercenary Impoverished Knight survived the most. Female mercenaries, they're weak. Yeah, they're just... Female troops. Now, with the female troops, I recommend that you go for the Maiden of War and the Virago Heroine, simply because they're the highest tier. The rest, female assassin is meh. Foot knight is meh. Maiden sharpshooter again meh. Choose one of the two. Mounted heavy unit or mounted heavy archer, however you prefer. Glory seeking men. Now, these are your manhunters of the game, and I do actually recommend that you get manhunters. Glory seeking men in the early game, simply because they provide extra prisoner management for your party. Simply, you utilizing them in the party will give you extra prisoner management. So that's cool. What else? Freelancer guild troops. Are these the modifiable units? No, these are simply freelancers. The modifiable units are a little bit later on. These are simply your mercenary soldiers that you can buy and utilize. Again, utilize them as filler soldiers, filler troops. Strongest one being, of course, the Freelancer Marshal, because he has level 60 and he's a heavily armored motherbucker. Now, bandits, Knight of Doom. Now, I managed to deal with the Knight of Doom in the late game. I've never met a situation where the bandit troop tree caused me problems. So, hope they're not going to cause problems for you either. I guess the Knight of Doom is kind of cool looking, but nothing to write home about. Then we have the Player's Mercenaries. Now, if you go to the Merc Fortress over here, the Merc Guild, I think that's the location, right? Give me one sec to confirm. Yeah, I think that's the location. So, if you go to the Mercenary Guild, you can pay and hire mercenary soldiers. Now, these mercenary soldiers have modifiable equipment. You can decide what gear for them to wear, how to name them, and there is a balancing mechanic. For example, you can't simply put on the chosen recruit the maximum amount of the highest tier armor and stuff like that. There is a balancing issue. Each time you add something good, there's this percentile function that goes up and down to decide if it's too overpowered. The system will not allow you to equip this amount of armor. You're gonna have to take something off. For example, I had to give them I gave them high tier armor, but the headpiece is shit, the knobbed mace is shit. And to be honest, this is very good for role playing, because you guys practically have all types of soldiers here, and you can just specialize and modify and equip and make them look pretty cool. You can do that. But I have to say, that's it. That's sadly the only thing that these guys are useful at, role-playing purposes. It takes a long time to customize them, but for role-playing purposes, they fulfill their job. You can make some pretty cool your flavor type of units. If you always wanted that faction that has these colors and stuff like that, you can make these mercenaries in those units, and that's cool. The problem that I don't like is you can't equip Orolo leaf bombs on these guys, but you can equip Orolo leaf bombs on your household guard. Now this unit, you have access to this unit once you are a lord of a fief. Once you're a lord of a fief, you can hire your household guard. I call them chosen warrior, plural chosen warriors, and these guys you have to manually equip with gear that you find in the world. It is quite lame. Skipped. Anyway, all of this equipment I found within the world, and I'm continuously trying to find better equipment for them. As you can see, they're pretty high level. I usually like to equip them with a one-handed weapon that's, has a very good reach and is very fast. So the Assassin's Sword was the best one I could find. And I equipped them with leaf bombs. They're the only unit that you can equip with leaf bombs, and they will definitely outperform the Orolo leaf bombers simply because... Come on. That is pretty dope. I'm actually curious to see the leaf bombers, the master hurlers. Let's go check them out since we're in the area. Where you at? There you go. Power throw 9. Oh wow, they're actually outscaled in the power throw department. That's cool. The bad part is that they don't have very good armor. No survivability, no shields. Still, I much rather prefer to have my household guard equip the leaf bombs. And I feel like this is the best way to utilize leaf bombs, besides specializing your companion warriors with leaf bombs as well. Another thing that I need to mention is if you equip a masterwork a masterwork piece of armor or piece of weaponry on one of your household guard, it will revert to its normal status. So the masterwork Crimson Ranger armor will become simply a Crimson Ranger armor once equipped. Your masterwork Assassin Sword will become a simple Assassin Sword. This works the other way around too. If you want to fix a broken weapon, like let's say you find a rusty Assassin Sword that is just horrible, you can equip your household guard and it's gonna get fixed and become a normal Assassin Sword. So yeah, keep that in mind. You can repair equipment with your household guard, but do not equip superior gear on them because it's simply a waste. It's simply gonna make a masterwork weapon into a normal version weapon. So it's kind of lame. It's kind of lame like that. But again, these are very, very good units. The only drawback with the household guard is they're very expensive. Each chosen warrior costs 10k. Each one soldier, no matter what he has equipped, costs 10,000. What's in this game? Stags? Or Orums? Orums, yes. 10,000 Orums. Oh, and also, that's the amount of money that I currently have. I actually reached 1 million. And all I did was simply buy Chosen Warriors. So yeah. 10,000 gold for your Chosen Warriors. So keep that in mind. They're expensive, but you're going to be able to afford them in the late game. No problemo. Yeah, I have 43 of them, so I think you can understand how much I've invested into these guys. Although it kind of hurts when you see them die. Seeing 10k go just like that hurts inside. Not gonna lie. It just hurts. Renown honor rating 700. Right to rule 93. Not doing that bad. Okay, so I guess next would be to talk overall about, the best soldiers, the best troops that you can utilize. Best infantry, hands down, Kakoth Confederation. Special mention, I have to mention our boys on the Household Guard. You can make them into very powerful Orolo leaf bomb throwing tanks. Besides that, for archers, Elentor takes the cake. Second best, Geldar Foot Knights. For mounted archers, I'm going to give it to the Realm of the Falcon. For best mounted cavalry units, mounted heavy armored cavalry, I'm going to say Reich des Drachen and Realm of the Falcon. And that's it. That's it. Those are the best units. Did I miss any soldier types? Please let me know if I did. Oh, and if we're talking about shock soldiers, Mountain Keeper. Again, Mountain Keeper, he's the tankiest, and he deals a hefty amount of damage simply for survivability. I've seen Mountain Keepers just chew. They just chewed my army apart. It's not even funny. For crossbowmen, Macavians? No, you're fine. You're fine. Macavians with special mention, Kakoth and Hakon Empire. And that's it. That's it. Those are the best soldiers in the game. They're gonna destroy. Well, I did say crossbowmen. I separated them. Shock cavalry. Really haven't seen. Really can't say shock cavalry that much. I already mentioned horse archers. Realm of the Falcon have the best horse archers. Parisno Rangers are also very good. And then Elentor and Gelderin have some decent horse archers as well. More Elentor than Gelderin. And that's it. That's all I can say. Hey Mendar, welcome back to the dude. Doing a guide on Parisno. And that's going to be the end of the subject of the best soldiers. Yeah, what's up? Okay. Let's see. Morale and party size. There's not really much to say about morale and party size. What I can say is that in early to mid game, if you have a lot of foraging, hey Master Max, doing a guide. If you have a lot of foraging, you practically have infinite food. You can just have up to 9 slots of food, and with enough foraging, you have literally infinite food. The foraging will provide enough food for your soldiers to eat in the long term. Enough, Marius. Enough. It takes a lot to prepare. A lot of info and lists and information that I need to take into consideration. Brick and Zim, thank you for becoming a follower. Yeah, I guess parenthesis closed. Yes, we were talking about morale. Besides that, if you utilize that method, where you have a decent amount of foraging, simply having different types of food in your inventory will keep the morale up like it's nobody's business. So you don't really have to worry about morale that much. As long as you keep a variety of food, you're going to be perfectly fine. Again, just try not to utilize the soldiers of your enemy, and because that's going to go into the negative. And as you can see, the Realm of the Falcon really hates me right now. But it's fine. It's fine. And then towards the late game, if you have enough leadership, which with 8, I'm okay, you won't have morale problems. For party size, as you can see, Renown gave me quite a hefty amount. Leadership gave me 80, Renown gave me 162 soldiers. So yeah, it's insane. Simply stacking Renown and getting that leadership up will make it big. Besides that, okay, let's talk about how to make money. So, there are 2 options in this game. Specific trade routes or prisoners. Yeah, indeed. Party size limit 420. It's, I don't know. I didn't intentionally stop here. It was simply the number that came up after I finished the playthrough. Anyway, as I said, there are some specific trade routes that you can make, and you will always make a profit on. Yes, but even without Fazil, these trade routes will always make you money. So, the ways to make money are the following, and I'm going to explain the trade routes now. Salt from Arish and the connected villages to Arish. Buy salt from there and sell it in Lyle. Silk from Elsinore and the connected villages to Elsinore. Buy silk from here and sell it in Lyle. And that's it. Some people also like to buy ale from Lesber and sell it in Galv. But it's kind of rare. It's kind of rare to find good prices for ale in Lesber, sadly. It's not as reliable. At least for Arish, you always find cheap salt. For Elsinore, you always find cheap silk. I mean, once I bought a bolt of exquisite silk from Elsinore for, I think it was around 3k, and I sold it in Lyle for over 10k. It is stupid. And again, these are the best trade routes. Salt from Arisha and the connected villages, and silk from Elsinore and the connected villages. You sell them in Lyle, and you are done. That's the most efficient way of doing things. The other efficient way is simply helping factions in their war. If you get involved in battles, there will be no relation modifications to your character. So, for example, if I, let's say, go and help the Realm of the Falcon in their war against my faction, the Kingdom of Perisno, if I join a already existing battle like this one and join on the Realm of the Falcon side, I will be able to take all of the loot from the enemy and take the prisoners from the enemy. And now, why is prisoner management, or prisoner and selling prisoners, more productive in this mod than in other mods? Well, I'm glad you asked, voice in my head. This is why. Let's say I defeat these guys, and I defeat these guys, and I gain access to the demon worshippers, demon pilgrims, Ukundu, Masoru, elite Drachen boys, freelancers, and so on. I gain access to those prisoners. Now, the interesting part about that is I'm at war. I'm hostile with the demon worshippers, I'm hostile with the Ukundu, and I'm hostile with the Masoru. Being hostile with the prisoners will not allow you to recruit them. You cannot recruit them in your army. So automatically they will be placed in the prisoner pool that you're going to be taking. So as soon as I win that battle, I'm going to be taking those demon worshippers, the Akundu, and the Masoru as prisoners. Bam! Full prisoner house. And because I have 420 and I have prisoner management, which is a percentage based on the maximum number of soldiers you have, I can have up to 392 soldiers. And when I have that full and I sell it at a ransom broker, I can get between 20 and 40k. I think the most money that I got from a prisoner train sell was 50k. And that was stupid. Just 50k right out of the bat. Just here you go, 50k, which is 5 household guards, but still, it's insane. It's just insane. So yeah, keep an eye out for big prisoner trains. Lure them in enemy lords, participate in the battle, and just take their stuff. This is also a very good way to gain a large army early game, because as I said, besides having access to those demons, Ukundu, and other soldiers like that I'm going to be taking prisoner, I'm also going to be recruiting those elite Drachen Spearkampfers, which are pretty good, those freelancer sharpshooters, which are pretty good. So you're going to be filling up your soldiers pretty fast, filling up your army pretty fast. So yeah, that's the early game. That's how you make money in this mod. And of course, afterwards, just build enterprises all over the world. I've done just that, and I'm producing 34k each week. I'm also paying 38k for my army. So again, it's a very good idea to build the enterprises because it's going to help you pay the bills in the late game. A little bit, Lothic. A little bit. But if you feel like you don't want to exploit, simply join a faction as a mercenary. And you'll be just fine, Lothic. Also, another good way of grinding experience in the early game is going for the bandit lair quests. But then you're going to ask, but Archpappy Reval, the bandit quests are incredibly easy and they don't give you that much money. Well, my friend, in this mod, they give you 7k experience. In the early game, I've defeated the Sakar camp. I did a quest to defeat the Sakar camp, for example. And I received 7k experience. Around, I think it was 5k Orums, 5k gold. I'm not 100% sure. But I just jumped 3 levels on my character. And though that experience also gets a 3.5k, thanks Bloody Fiesta. And that experience also applies to your companions as well. Your companions receive 7 fucking k experience. It's insane. You can power level. Thank you, Bloody Fiesta. Thank you, Marius. Hello, Victorin. Welcome back to the inn. Doing a guide. So yeah, just spam defeat the bandit lair camps. And it's quite easy. Okay, so the Sakar camp is over here. What's the closest city? Tomar Tarhun. I go to Tomar Tarhun. I find the lord over there. I ask, do you have a task for me? He's most likely going to tell me, go defeat the bandit lair. And bam, easy 7k experience and 3.5k gold. And that's awesome. Very, very useful in the early game to power level. Just be careful on what bandit lairs you're eliminating. Make sure that you're capable of make sure that you and your army are capable of defeating that lair. The easiest ones that I've noticed are the bandit lairs from the desert. They're they're laughably easy to defeat. The hardest bandit lair, I would say, I don't even know. To be honest, don't even know. No, the outlaw encampments are not that hard as well. I guess the easiest ones are the ones over here in the desert, over here in Reich des Drachen territories, and the hardest ones are the outlaw encampments over here and the Sakar encampments in the northeast. Ah, that hits the spot. But you'll be fine. If you want a surefire way of finding bandit lairs, they usually spawn right here between Lakil and Uliastai. You're going to be able to find it, and they also spawn over here north of the training field and over here northeast of Urla Bay Castle. You're going to be able to find them easily. For outlaw encampments, usually you're going to be able to find them. This is one spawning point. Over here's another spawning point, and I think over here between Westray Castle and Vinica, a little bit to the south, around here. Between Malon and Vinica, you're also going to be able to find. Sometimes they also spawn here. It's weird, but that only happened once. So yeah, that's how you make money. That's how you make money. Now, let's talk about damage types and best weapons. We're not necessarily going to talk about best weapons, but more on quests that are abundant in Perisno. And I'm not really going to go a lot into details, because I'm simply going to offer you guys the wiki page from Perisno, which contains, I think, almost all of the quests that you can go for with precise instructions on how to beat them. So that kind of did my job, so I'm okay with it. So let's just discuss a little bit about about damage types. Again, we have cutting, piercing, and blunt weapons. It's the same. Sure, Bloody Fiesta. Okay. It's the same like in native. Cutting will scale very well in the late game with power strike. Early game it's going to be very weak because there's a lot of armored units in the game. A lot of armored units, so I do recommend that you try to go for a blunt weapon in the early game. But once you're in the late game and you have power strike at least 7, you can switch to a cutting weapon. You'll be perfectly fine. Piercing weapons, which are, well, any mace or any spear or any bow and arrow, are very good at penetrating armor, thus the name of penetrating weapons. They scale very well with attack speed, so very good if you are mounted or if you're running and charging towards the enemy when you're swinging. But the best weapon the best damage type that's good against armor is the blunt weapon. If we don't take speed into consideration, blunt weapon will do superior damage to piercing weapon against armored units. And the other advantage of utilizing blunt weapons is the fact that blunt weapons cannot kill the enemy. You're automatically going to take them prisoner. So, the summary would be, in the early game, use blunt weapons and piercing weapons. In the late game, you can switch to a cutting weapon if you so desire. If you are a archer character, of course, simply utilize bows and arrows or crossbows or whichever tickles your fancy from early to late game. Pardon. I do have to say that if you are going for a archer character, from level 1, the most power draw you can have is 4. And I still recommend that it might be a good idea to go for a crossbow until you can increase that to at least 5 power draw, maybe 6. Once you have power draw 6, you can switch to a bow and arrow and utilize that. Okay. What else do I have to... No, I think that's it. All I have to mention about damage types. I do have to say a special mention on the large bag of Auroral Leaf Bombs, which you can find and acquire from Qualitaqua to the southwest. Qualitaqua is the only fief of the Orolo faction. You can find Auroral Leaf Bombs over there, or you can also find Auroral Leaf Bombs in the inventory of traveling merchants in the taverns. So keep an eye out for them. The leaf bombs are AoE piercing damage weapons that the gas literally does piercing damage. And as I said, the target goes into a berserk state if hit directly. This is the only weapon with a special effect. Some of the hidden weapons that you can find Hamlet's Divine Hammer, a two-handed blunt weapon in Fountain Hall. Sadly, I'm kind of hostile with Fountain Hall right now, so I can't go in and show you exactly the location. But it's in a chest behind some crates in the market. It's behind. You're easily gonna find it. Besides that, you can also find the Flamebringer. Now, the Flamebringer, you can find it on Arcanus. Once you've hired Arcanus as a companion, he will be equipped with a Flamebringer, and this has a lighting effect if you have it equipped. It's gonna be... Can I take a walk around the camp or something like that? No? Ooh, craft armor. Okay. Resume traveling. I guess I could just go directly into here. The siege town. Oh no, it's a siege tower. Never mind. I guess you're just gonna have to see the effect on your own. Sadly, I do have to mention that the Flamebringer effect kind of causes some lag to the entire game. Practically, it's a flaming sword. It's just on fire. If you guys are fans of Game of Thrones, you'll like the effect. If not, it's still a cool flaming sword. So yeah, Kingslayer is a quest reward, and I think we're going to start discussing about quests right now. There we go. Need to open this page. So this is going to be the list that I'm going to be providing you with. I'm just going to quickly go... Each quest will tell you step-by-step actions that you need to make and where to go and how to beat the game. I'm just going to go a little bit through them and tell you my experience with them. The Duelers quest was a long and very cool quest line. As a reward, you will receive the Strange Rapier's quest. Strange Rapier's sword, which we already have in the inventory. The drawback with this sword is it can only do thrusting damage. It can only do thrusting damage, so you can't swing with it, which is kind of shitty. I have to admit, it's kind of shitty. But the speed rating is amazing. So if you want to it's a cool weapon to test out. Besides that, you also receive a certain number of shock troops equipped with rapiers to utilize. Also, there's a known exploit with this quest. Once you go back to Galv and want to give the quest, you can simply talk to the NPC there multiple times and you receive the quest reward multiple times, endlessly. So practically you can spam 2k XP as, it actually mentions here can be done unlimited times. There is a known exploit that you can utilize. Okay, next, the Kingslayer quest. The Kingslayer quest is one of the easier quests that I've done. You will receive the Kingslayer, which I still consider to be one of the best one-handed weapons in the game. I'm still utilizing it. I haven't found a one-handed weapon that I can say that, okay, this beat the Kingslayer. And I even did the calculations taking into consideration the 15% penalty that you get for utilizing a weapon as a one-hander. So yes, in case you didn't know, and it says it in the manual as well, if you utilize a two-handed weapon, which can also be used as a one-handed weapon, all of these stats will be diminished, hiddenly diminished by 15%. So it's not going to be 50 cutting damage, it's just going to be 43 cutting damage. Is that 15%? Okay, let's say if this item did 100 cutting damage, you would only be able to do 85 cutting damage. Okay, that's how it works. Practically all stats diminished by 15%. Okay, but yeah, still utilize this till the end game. Still good. Best sword is Mastercraft Ancient Longsword. And a Bastard Sword with 54 cutting damage. Did you take into consideration the speed and the weapon reach as well? Hello, music? Please let me know. Okay, the Red Immortals quest. A little bit more difficult. It's better to have a properly equipped army when you tackle this. You will receive armor and the shield, the Aegis. Now, the Aegis, I can actually show you the stats right now. It's the current shield that I'm utilizing. 55 resistance, 2k HP, and you just need shield 5. So if you have 15 agility, you can equip the Aegis. Okay, hello music. Well, keep an eye out for the Mastercraft Ancient Longsword. I've never seen this sword, so that's cool. And, of course, the Bastard Sword as well. Okay, so yeah, that was the Aegis. You're going to have to defeat some elite units. Again, the instructions are here. There's no point in me going through them. Well, Wace, this is the guide. This is the guide for Parisno. Gildar Extermination Quest. I don't... Let me just look through it and see if I've done it. I don't think I've done this quest. No, I don't think I've done this one. But it's there, and it tells you where to find it and how to do it. See that on Geldar quest. This one I did. Practically, the Geldar hire you to take Fornaran, to conquer Fornaran. Once conquered, that's it. You're going to be receiving the strongest bow in the game. Yeah, this is a quest that you need to make to receive the strongest bow in the game, the Dark Forest Ranger bow. And there it is. And it actually gives you the stats: 40 piercing damage, accuracy 98, speed 98, and requires a whopping 10 power draw. So, good luck with that. Get ready. Illica Falki questline. Now, this is a long questline that... Well, this is a questline that it's cool to do if you want to make the Illica Falki into a faction. The Illica Falki hate the Reich des Drachen. You'll usually find the Illica Falki as hostile units within the Reich des Drachen territories. If you help them out, you're going to be able to make them into a faction, which is pretty cool, with you being part of them. Third Legion quest. Again, this is the quest line that you need to make to create and bring out the being of Venator. If you help them out, you're going to be able to bring Venator on the map and create a new faction. And yes, you can also get Skyfall from the Falki if you kill the unique spawn of the Illica Falki. Yes, there are unique spawns in this game. What else? Remus's quest. This one... The first part of this quest was easy. The last part was a little bit more difficult. You have to fight a band of giants towards the end. Hello, Nemesis. Welcome back to the end, dude. Thank you for resubscribing, my man. Really, really appreciate it. But it was cool. I think this was the first time in this mod, doing this quest, where I fought against the giants, and I learned that they're very weak against arrow fire. So, yeah. Yeah, it's a good one. I think I finished it in the mid-game, and you receive a decent amount of cash. A Wyvern Escort quest. Now, with the Wyvern Escort quest, once you win it, a unique companion will join you. The bad part about the unique companion joining you is the fact that that unique companion, Kivashis, can die. She joined me, and then I went into the next battle, and she died. And I was like, my god. Oh, my bad. So there's a separate quest. Once you do the third Legion quest, you have to do the Venator Empire quest will be unlocked, and then this Venator Empire quest will unlock the Venator faction. The Mead Brewer quest was bugged. It was kind of weird. Defeat the Demon Worshippers outside of Galv. This is a repeatable quest that you can utilize. Practically, a small band of Demon Worshippers spawn near Galv. You go attack them, you kill them, you come back, you receive reward. Repeatable, quick experience. But still, it's much more worth it to go hunt bandit layers than do this one, for example, if you simply want to grind XP. To deliver the Zan Engineer to Ford. This quest, you do it, and it's practically an introductory quest to the Zan faction. Usually it's a good idea from a lore perspective to do this quest before the Zan invade. And to gain access to this quest, you need to do all of the other adventuring quests from the NPCs in the taverns. Baron Garon's personal favor. I've never done this quest. Defeating the Dreaded One. Now, this will reward you with armor, the legendary weapon called the Dreaded Sword, and a demonic horsebound called Nightmare, which I understand that the Dreaded Sword is hands down the strongest sword in the game. The problem with this quest is that you need 10k renown to unlock this quest. If we look at my character, I clearly did not do this quest. I didn't grind enough renown, and sadly I'm not planning on grinding enough renown for that quest. Kingslayer does his job perfectly fine, but if you're in the late game and you're near 10k renown, go for it. I also understand that this quest is one of the most difficult battles that you're going to be facing. Yeah, extremely tough. Dreaded One feels about 400 troops, but at that point you're going to be having at least 500. And I think if you just fight on a hill, you will defeat them. There's a glitch with the Third Legion quest that you could talk to the merchant towards the end of the quest as many times as you want, and it'll give the new faction a ton of troops if you talk to the merchant multiple times. Oh, of course there's a glitch. Of course there's a exploit. Other Adventurers Guild quests. These are the quests that... quests are repeatable, really. Common Adventure Guild quests that are available after you speak with the adventurer. Okay. Revolution in Vinica, another... Practically, these are specific quests that you receive from the Adventurer Guild NPCs. And, that's it. Those are all the quests. I'm sure... I feel like there are some quests missing from the list. I don't know why. Well, I don't know. Besides that, I do have to mention that within the game, there are also some unique spawns that can appear. For example, there's the... What's the name? Let me one sec. The Ukundu unique spawn will appear over here in the desert, which are tiger riders. If you kill them, you receive 10k gold. There are the... seductresses that will spawn here with their princess. If you defeat them, you're going to receive another 10k gold. There are the Zan unique spawns that will appear within the world. Yes, that's the quest that wasn't there in the list. Indeed. Okay, so there is one quest that is not in the list over there on the wiki page, and that is defeating the Zan invasion quest. Once the Zan invade the continent, you talk with one traveler in the tavern, and there's going to be this option where you can ask what's the word, or what have you heard, or stuff like that, or anything new. And when you press that, anything new, he's going to say that Shi Jin has a quest for you. Shi Jin being one of your companions. You talk with him. I'd like to ask you something. And over here at I'd like to ask you something, a new quest will appear where Shi Jin will send you to defeat the 4 unique spawns of the Zan dynasty. And these unique spawns are armies that field 1,000 soldiers, strictly 1,000 soldiers, and each of the 4 armies have a specialization. For example, there's a unique spawn with 1,000 infantry, 1,000 mounted archers, 1,000 archers, and 1,000 mounted units. Once you defeat them, and you fulfill the clause, you complete the quest, they will never spawn again. Also, these unique spawns are on the side of the Zan. So it's a good idea, once the Zan invade, to do this quest as soon as possible, to defeat them, and be done with it. It's quite easy to tackle these armies. For the foot archers, just bum rush them with cavalry. They're gonna fall. Against mounted archers, stay on a hill or go to the edge of the map, and you're gonna be able to kill them easily. For the mounted cavalry, again, stay on the hill. Their charge will mean nothing as long as you hold position on a mountainous region, on a mountainous field of battle. And against the infantry, sadly, their infantry, the infantry unique spawn it's a army full of shock troops. Kill them with archer fire, and they're going to go down like flies. No problems. So just a little bit of strategy, a little bit of preparation, and you're going to be perfectly fine. Right. Why? I think that's it with the quests. Now, let's see. There are... I have to mention this. There are... Actually, guys, I have a question for you guys. Are there claimant quests in Perisno? Do you happen to know if there are claimant quests in this game? Because I'm not sure. I don't remember seeing any claimants. But I might be wrong. Because I wasn't interested in claimant quests in Perisno. So if there are claimant quests, I am going to be talking a little bit about claimant quests, I guess. But no, what I wanted to say was the fact that you can marry certain ladies. So there are lady lords in this game, which you can marry. For example, I married Princess Lily from Elsinore. Well, her name's not Lily. Her name's Lithindrathil. I just call her Lily because it's easier. Yeah, this one, Princess Lithindrathil. Linthradil. Fuck, I don't even pronounce it correctly. Okay. Thank you, Jake. Anyway, marrying them will give you access to, or marrying any lord for that matter, not just the lady lords, will give you access to their city's garrison. So, for example, if I go to Elsinore, which Princess Lily owns, I gain access to that garrison and I can take out all of the elite soldiers and utilize them in my own army, which I actually did. These ladies over here, the Elentorian Noble Maidens, are Princess Lily's honor guard. You can do the same tactic with Princess Bridget from the Reich des Drachen, and you can also... I think there's also a lady over here in the Mokavian territories, if, of course, you have a male character. If you have a female character, well, the choices are a little bit bigger. You could marry the Lord from the Reich des Drachen, the Lord from the Mokavian territories, which utilizes wolf riders, unique soldiers. You have a lot of lords to choose from and things to explore. So keep that in mind. Whew. Okay, let's see. I guess it's time to talk about ways to conquer the world. Yeah, and they're perfectly fine to marry. Okay, so let's talk about ways to conquer the world. There are 3 ways to conquer the world. One way is to become a vassal of a faction and help that faction conquer the world. For example, if I marry Lily or something and I just like the Elentorian faction, I can just remain as a vassal and help them conquer the world. If I marry Lily, I automatically become a vassal of that faction. Now, besides becoming a vassal, the second way of conquering the world is to help a claimant out. So, as Jake confirmed, there are claimants in this game. Claimants are people, famous people within the game, that have claim to another faction's throne. For example, I don't know. In NATO, it was Arwa the Pearled One who was a claimant to the Serenade faction. And if you take this quest... True, that is correct, Jake. When you take this quest, the claimant will join your party, and then you have to help that claimant conquer the entirety of the faction that he claims the throne to. Once you've conquered the entirety of that faction, and you've convinced lords to join your side, to join your claimant's side, the claimant will assume the throne, and you will receive the title of Permanent Marshal, Permanent Minister of War, the person who controls and directs all of the armies of the faction. That's another way of conquering the world without having to deal with the politics and the fief management aspect of the game. Now, the third option, and clearly my favorite, as you can see from the map, is making your own faction and conquering it that way. So there are several ways of creating your own faction. The simplest way is as a freelancer, as not being on the side of any faction, you just start becoming hostile with a faction, take a castle, and declare yourself independent. That's the easiest way of making a faction. For example, go to Panama Castle, take it from whoever owns it, and bam, I can start my faction from there and conquer the world. Right. The second way is, as a vassal, you keep on conquering fief after fief for that faction, and you keep asking the king to give those fiefs to you. Once the king refuses to give those fiefs to you, you can declare yourself independent because the king is a meanie and he didn't give you that fief that you wanted, and you declare independence, and all of the factions that you owned are now in your new faction. It's a good way to amass a big pile of land quickly. The drawback of this is you need to have a decent garrison in said fiefs to be able to hold them afterwards. I still much prefer to simply conquer a castle of my own. Now, there's a third way of creating your own faction, and I'm not sure if this works for other factions, but I convinced Princess Lily, Princess Linthradil, to rebel against her mother, the Queen, in Forneron. Once we've dethroned the Queen and Lily became Queen, I became king automatically. I became... it was kind of weird. I became the ruler of the Kingdom of Perisno once Lily has been declared queen. The drawback with this method is that you cannot change the name of the faction from the Kingdom of Perisno afterwards. And I feel like it's an exploit. I feel like it's a bug. So, if you don't want to risk effing your playthrough, kind of stay away from this method. But I feel like I needed to mention it because that's how I became the ruler of this kingdom. I don't know, it's kind of weird. Plus, I guess it's also not in your interest to create a faction this way because, as I said, you won't be able to edit the name. So, keep that in mind. But yeah, once you have your own faction, from there, it's all systematically conquering the world. And now we go into the subject of fief management and lord personalities. So how can you tell which lord has which personality? I think... So, sadly, I cannot talk for everyone because some people said that they can't see the personalities, some people say that they can see the personalities. I, for one, I can see them. Let's go to... Political courtship, list of known lords. So, no, actually, not from here. Notes. You can see the lords from there too, your relations with them. But no, characters from here, Demetrios. Going on their face, going on this panel, you can check their reputation type, their personality right here. This dude is a upstanding lord. I want to recruit all martial lords, all upstanding lords, benevolent lords, and benevolent, upstanding. There was another type besides martial. I don't know, another goody two shoes personality. And I don't remember the third one. Benevolent, upstanding, good-natured. There it is. Benevolent, upstanding, good-natured, and martial lords. These are the lords that you want in your faction because they're the good guys. You do not want cunning lords you only want cunning lords in case of emergency, or you're incredibly in the late game and you don't really care about what lords you're taking in your faction at that point. Like I am. For example, I've defeated the dwarves before taking on Fountainhall. I've defeated the dwarves. I defeated the dwarves simply by convincing half of their lords to join my side during the war. It was pretty insane. So at this point in the game, I don't care about what lords I take into the faction because I'm going to take Fountainhall and I'm going to consider the game ended. Besides that, if you're not able to see the reputation type of the lord here, or when you're talking to them by clicking on their face and taking you to this panel, if you can't see their reputation type, you can tell what type of personality they have based on what they say when you capture them and you're about to take them prisoner. Benevolent lords, upstanding lords, and good-natured lords will always congratulate you on your victory and will always be asked to be treated with honor. Martial lords will simply say, I yield. That's it. They will simply say, I yield. These are the type of lords that you wish to release. Never take them prisoner, just release them so you can increase your relations with them and they'll eventually join your faction later on in the game. For cunning lords say, I yield to you. It's a more calculated statement. I yield to you. These guys, you want to take them prisoners. Then the debauched, the sadistic, the self-righteous, the other lords, these guys are no-nos, these guys are bad guys, and they'll usually insult you when you take them prisoner. They're going to call you dog, or curse be this day, or stuff like that. Anything that's negative, you take them prisoner. Take them prisoner, keep them off of the field of the map. It's better for everyone. And plus, you're going to make some cash off of their reward. Off of their ransom reward. So all's good and fair in the world. Now, how do you give fiefs? What I recommend that you do is when deciding what fiefs to give to lords, I recommend that you give each vassal at least 2 walled fiefs. At least a castle, at least 2 castles, or a castle in a city, or 2 cities. And the connected villages to those fiefs. And try to give them areas of influence. I've explained this in all of my guides. I think you know what I'm talking about. For example, if I'm going to have a vassal, I'm going to give him Qualitaqua and Azurkeep. This is going to be his area of influence. It's going to be very easy for him to defend this area on his own. Then I'm going to give the next vassal Forneron and Yantas. This is going to be his area of influence. Then I'm going to give Elsinore and Lyle to the next one. Or Elsinore and Seren, and Lyle and Wall to another one. Always 2 walled fiefs and the connected villages to it. When I refer to walled fiefs is literally something that has a wall protecting it. So that's a city or a castle. Alright, I'm starting to lose my voice, so let's see if we can finish this. Yeah, and keep giving them these areas of influence. At one point, you won't be able to manage their relations anymore, but at that point, you're going to be so far in the late game that you can just give them fiefs and kind of juggle relations with them simply through giving 1 fief to this guy, 1 fief to that guy. Oh, I need to remember to give that dude a fief so he doesn't go into the negative. And if they reach -40, if your vassals reach -40 relations, indict them for treason. Because at -50, they will betray you and take their fiefs away with them. Your fiefs away with them. So, just indict them for treason. It's safer. You're going to receive a penalty relation penalty with everyone, but it's better than nothing. Also, once you reach 100 relations with a lord, that 100 relations will never go down. Doesn't matter what decision you're going to make, it's not going to go down anymore. And talking to that lord will yield you a random attribute point. So, for example, if I talk with a martial lord, he's going to give me an attribute in strength. To me and my companions. If I talk with a calculating lord who has relations up to 100, he's going to give me 1 into intellect. If I talk with a benevolent lord or an upstanding lord, he's going to give me an extra point into charisma. And so on and so forth. Okay. No, I need some water as well. Okay, besides... Whoa, stop right there, criminal scum. There. I clicked on the map and my army already started going towards there. Besides that... What can I say? Well, that's pretty much it. Oh, yes, no, I do have to mention something. If you make feasts, you can increase the relation of your lords pretty significantly. It's also a very good way of gathering lords in one place because you have the option of sending caravans with gifts to lords to increase your relationship even further. So try to stock up on wine and oil. Wine and oil are the trade goods that you can gift to other lords, and it's going to give you a boost in relations with them. Now, why is it so important to have a feast and gather them up when you give gifts to them? It's simple. That caravan that goes towards them to give them the gift is attackable by bandits. And they get attacked pretty often. So keep that in mind. Pardon. And that's the reason why. You can spam gifts to a lord, and it's going to instantaneously reach them if they're near you, if they're at your feast. So that's cool. Okay, next up I need to talk about early game, mid game, and late game. Practically what to do. What are the actual steps of conquering the world? So in the early game, what I recommended you doing is start trading salt from Arisha and the connected villages, silk from Elsinore and the connected villages, and selling both of them in Lyle. You're gonna be making a color. You're gonna be making a lot of money. Keep an eye out for giant prisoner trains. If you see a bandit party with giant prisoner trains, bait them into a fight. Bait them into a lord, an enemy lord, and participate in the battle and take those prisoners for yourself. You're going to be gaining a large army just like that, and you're also going to be gaining a lot of prisoners to get money. Once you start making money, build enterprises in all major cities of the world. These enterprises will bring you a lot of cash. If I wasn't paying wages for my army and some other garrisons, I would be making right now around 70k gold a week. So it's stupidly insane. Just build enterprises. They're worth it in the late game because they're going to be financing your everything. Just simply your everything. Okay? And once you've built enterprises, try to build as many enterprises as you can by day 150. Because at day 150, I'd say you've reached the mid-game. And in the mid-game, you're going to have to tackle the Zan invasion. Oh, Marius, the old guide is still good for a World of Ice and Fire. There are some minimal changes to troops that are really not that worth updating. Not much, Marius. Not much. It's not even worth it to go for a update patch video for a World of Ice and Fire. And the changes to soldiers are so minimal, it's perfectly fine. Hey, Marius. Just follow that guide and you'll be fine. Trust me. So, in the mid game, which is by day 150, you're going to be tackling the Zan invasion. What I recommend, make sure that you join a faction that's close to the Zan fortress, so you can stop their advance earlier on. What I recommend is either join Macavia, join Elsinore, or join Reich des Drachen to the northeast. These guys will usually face the full brunt of the Zan invasion. If you join them as a vassal and help them in the siege defense, you can practically stop the Zan invasion in their tracks from an early on perspective. And you'll see that after a few weeks of the invasion, they're going to calm down. The Zan will calm down. Yeah, Cholrenia is poo-poo. Don't go for it. But the Zan onslaught will calm down, and they're going to kind of become a normal faction. Also, this is the moment where you need to do Shijin's quest to defeat the Zan unique spawns, which we've discussed a little bit previously in the quest section of this guide. Go to the quest topic to find more about that there. And yeah, that's it. Once you stopped the Zan advance and they became a normal faction, that's it for the mid game. You're done. I also recommend in the mid game to decide who you do wish to marry and start courting and marrying that person. Okay, I'm sure you're gonna find a good bride or groom. You'll be perfectly fine. Alright. And then we reach the late game where you have to decide how do you wish to conquer the world. Hello, Kame Turtle. Hello, Turtle. Welcome back to the end, dude. What I wanted to say... Yes, once in the late game, you have to decide how do you wish to conquer the world. Do you wish to help a claimant out? Do you wish to help a faction out to conquer the world, simply being a vassal? Or do you want to make your own faction? This is the time to decide. And simply follow the instructions that I mentioned in making your own faction section for that. And you'll be perfectly fine. Usually it's a good idea to take a corner fief when starting your own faction. Maybe like, let's see, Velenaz is a good start. Oh yeah, well this one's done. Kame Turtle. That's why I'm currently making a guide to tell people how to do it. But yeah, Velenaz is pretty easily defendable. I actually started from Elsinore, from here, with my faction, and we've conquered the Elentor as soon as possible because I wanted to utilize their culture mostly as the main culture of my army. Yeah, their archers are incredibly powerful, and they did short work of most factions on the map. I will, Sir Lancelot, I will. And that's it for the late game. Other good locations would be Qualitaqua, if you can take it. Panamadot, where you can start your faction. The Zan Fort, if you're capable of taking it head-on. Sooth is also a very easily defendable location because there's just one path to enter it. Hopefully, Jake. Hopefully. So yeah, you have the options. The most annoying factions that I had to deal with, the most annoying factions that you'll have to deal with, Elsinore, because of their incredibly OP archers, the Dwarves, because of their incredibly OP infantry, the Realm of the Falcon, simply because of their high elite units, and Fountain Hall itself, which is bugged. It's a siege. It's a siege tower siege. And yeah, I know it's a weird expression. What am I gonna do? It's a siege where you need to build a siege tower to attack. The siege tower takes ages to reach the wall. There's this very oh no, I still haven't taken it yet. This is the last thing that I'm going to be taking before I end the playthrough. Actually, if you want to see me attempt to take Fountain Hall and cry trying and failing, check. Simply type in Fountain Hall on YouTube. You're gonna find my Fountain Hall Perisno episode where I attempt to take Fountain Hall. It's horrible. I cried. Well, not cried, but I cried internally. Okay, I've lost a lot of good soldiers in that battle, and that was stupid. The biggest drawback of this siege is the fact that your archers do not fire against the enemy. It's bugged. The siege is literally bugged. Your archers do not open fire against the enemy archers, while they just go ham. They go to town. Yes. Let's skip through the... I think it is possible. If you talk to one of your ministers, you can change the kingdom culture. But I'm not sure if Falconian is available. I'm not sure. You just get farmers from the villages. Well, if you recruit from the towns, you should get Falconian soldiers. Well, whatever. It's perfectly fine. So yeah, you're going to be having problems with Fountain Hall. Did I mention you're going to have problems with the dwarves because most of their sieges force you into melee combat, and they shine in melee combat. Noble Falconians you're going to find in towns, and you should be able to recruit nobles. I think you should, unless it's bugged. Yeah, it is hard and expensive to raise an army with them. Sorry that I can't give you more confirmation. Skifred. Alright, what other faction really put a dent into my numbers? Fighting the Valahir in the north was quite a challenge because I had to... There were scenarios where I was forced into melee, and even though they're not the best infantry, Valahir still shine in that department. Also, facing against all of their roaming armies was quite a challenge. Valahir have random armies patrolling through their lands of over 1,000 soldiers. I know it sounds stupid, but they're there. And facing the Zan was a little bit of a, not necessarily a challenge, but more of a resistance. Time-consuming experience, because you had to put them down multiple times, and they just kept on respawning pretty fast. So, yeah, just fighting the Zerg in StarCraft. That's the same vibe that I received from the Zun. Besides that, Tolrania was a joke. Hakon and Venator and Drahara and Kulan Horde are weak. Reichsdrachen and Macavia have some pretty dangerous crossbows, so I guess they could put a dent into your numbers. Reichsdrachen will charge you, so it's a good idea to bring them on a hill. And the Sooth Giants, the Sooth and Villanaz, so the Bakal and the Sooth Giants, they're weak against arrow fire, so you're going to bring them down easily. The Orolo Leaf Bombs, the only problem against the Orolo guys is the siege at Qualitakwa, because they're going to be throwing some bombs at you. But once they run out of bombs, if you can attack them in that window when they run out of bombs, you can just mash them, murder them. Or, if you kill them from afar, if you outrange them with arrow fire, they're going to go down easily. And that's really it. That's really all that I can say about that. True, Jake, but if you can overwhelm them, you can take them, because they're not very good in melee. Yeah, I guess against Azurkeep, against the Geldar, it wasn't that difficult. Once I got into melee combat with them, it was nice, and having Elintor and archers, which are the superior archers, just brought them down easily. Against Elsinore, if you have to fight against elves, I recommend just fighting fire with fire. Just grab elven archers to fight against elven archers. You're going to kill them faster than they can desert. It's interesting. That's how I conquer the Elentorian faction. It was cool. Or you could just bring out the dwarves. Just bring out an army of dwarves and send them charging into melee. They're gonna eat the elves up. They're gonna be chewing them up. They're gonna sing our shit on this Gimli. Trust me. And that's it. I think those are all the subjects that I had to go through. Well, I guess the last thing that I need to talk about is difficulty options and mod options. So, let's go and check that out right now. As you can see, it has a diplomacy mod active within the game. You can modify stuff here. I usually just leave it on default. Auto loot settings for your soldiers. Exactly like in Flores, your companions will automatically equip horses and armor and weapons based on what you tell them to take an action. Now there's craft armor over here that's based on your engineering skill. Suddenly it's not that worth it, but it's a cool, it's a cool RPG element if you want to go for it. So keep that in mind. Well, thank you, Marius. Besides that, yeah, you can change your party name. Nothing interesting here. Change game settings. Okay, so general options. Yes, this is very good, very important. It's gonna sort soldiers by rank. When you win a battle, you're gonna see the highest tier prisoners that you've rescued, and you can hire them from the strongest to the weakest as you go down in the list. And the enemies are also stacked the same way, from the strongest, the highest tier, to the weakest as you go down. Sword player fiefs. Again, same thing. Only instead for armies, this is going to be for fiefs. It's for garrisons. Also very good. Use old random scenes. Native random scene generator. It's fine. Disable companion complaints if you don't want to deal with the stable party. For example, I didn't want to deal in this playthrough with stable parties. I wanted to take all of the companions and play around with them without having to worry that they're gonna eat each other in a non-sexual way, which is kind of sad. All right. I do have to mention that the enemy AI is a little bit bugged in terms of positions. They will rarely utilize strategy in the right way. Hey JCog, I'm doing a guide right now. Almost finished though. They will rarely utilize strategy in the right way. They'll usually just start maintaining position and slowly coming towards you and try to surround you, and they die. It's incredibly boring and makes the battles incredibly long and tedious. I simply have charge on charge active. Wait, oh. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong option. I was talking about this option, charge. If enabled, Lord parties will always charge in battle instead of dancing in circles. Yeah, even that, even the game acknowledges that it's buggy and it has a problem. So just have this on to make battles less tedious. Charge on death is simply for your soldiers. If you die, they're gonna charge. Just try before you die to make sure that your soldiers are not on hold fire. Because if they charge, they're gonna respect the fact that you told them to not use their crossbows or bows and arrows, and that's bad. It's gonna get your rangers killed, or your horse archers killed. Disable horse archer AI in case the disable improved AI of horse archers, turning them back into complete morons, but reducing lags in battle. I have nothing to add to that explanation. You choose if you want to go and activate it or not. Do not force cavalry to mount. Yes, if riders are dehorsed, they're going to try to find new horses to ride. Yeah, they will passively look for a new horse. That's pretty cool. I like this. Disable fire arrows. During nighttime, there's a animation. The arrows are all lit on fire. It doesn't add extra damage or something like that. It's just a cosmetic thing. But sadly, the particle effect for the flame is not as fast as the projectile, so it looks like people are fighting with very slow fireballs. It's kind of a light show more than that. But I liked it, so I kept it on. I like the battle viewer map to be left on. I don't have to press backspace to see the map, so I can get my bearings and position my soldiers better that way. Haven't modified the reinforcements. Overworld options, weight multiplier, I kept it on default. Yes, you can actually decide on the Zan invasion date. The default number is 156. If, you know, yeah, do not set it to an earlier date than 35 days, because that's going to bug it out. If you feel like you're not ready for the Zan invasion, you can modify this to be at 200 or 500, or you can just deactivate it, I guess, by simply typing in 1000, and then once you reach 1000 days, if you reach that far in the playthrough, just bring it back to 156 and they shouldn't invade. Horse speed limitation, I like this. Practically, as the horse gets damaged, it's going to be slower. Terrain advantage in auto-cal. I haven't seen this to be significant, but sure, keep it on. Lords returning from exile, sure. I've kept these on medium. Disable mod formations. No, I like to have mod formations. Practically, if you deactivate these, you can put your soldiers into shield wall positions or something like that. So that's cool. Allow formation rotation. This will always make your soldiers face the enemy. Keep this on. It's very good. Scale AI versus battle size. What's this? If enabled, reduces the intelligence of the AI when in larger battles to help improve performance. Fuck that. Nope. Let them be smart. Let them be strong. Silver Stag mod toggle options. Enable combat sprinting. Stamina bar, cold color. Oh, right. I completely forgot about the soldier abilities, which are also pretty OP. So, ya boy here, if he gets into a battle, I have to get into a battle to show this. If he gets into a battle, hello good sir, I will defeat thee. Surrender or die. He will have multiple abilities to his disposal. I'm just gonna put the soldier's information ready to slaughter. There we go. So if I press... No, not H. Was it the N key? Yeah, the N key. I have combat abilities. I can call for reinforcements. It's not deploy equipped Pavis shield. It's call for reinforcements if I press the V key. That's literally going to call another wave of reinforcements to both the enemy and your soldiers. And be careful, this is going to go above the set battle size limit that you utilize. So, keep that in mind. Currently, I have no reinforcements coming in because I only have 100 soldiers capable of battle. Okay. What else? You can borrow ammo, you can whistle for the horse. First aid will heal yourself. Battle cry will rally your troops to will heal your soldiers. So battle cry doesn't increase morale or something like that. It simply heals your soldiers. War cry is practically a fear in case you're surrounded. If you do a war cry, you're gonna be making the enemy run away from you. You can also activate taunt, which is gonna make enemies fight against you. And that's it. All of these combat stats cost experience, and they have a 1 minute cooldown. So after 1 minute, you can utilize them again. Another thing that I need to mention, as I said, they cost experience, but they will, if, let's say you have 10 experience and healing an enemy, healing all of the boys costs 100 experience, it will take you to 0, but it's not going to de-level you. It's not going to bring you from level 40 to level 39 or something like that. So you don't have to worry about that. You can freely use these skills. And I've used them multiple times to heal myself fairly well. Also, I should show you guys a leaf bomb in action, in case you haven't seen one until now. Okay. You good sir, you're free to go. Goodbye. Grab prisoners. And leave the rest of the items, because I don't need them. There we go. So, yeah, back to mod options. Actually, no. That's kind of it. You can also modify faction colors. Sometimes it's going to cause a script error like it just did. It's okay. Yes, I also needed to talk about difficulty options real quick. Most of you already know what difficulty options I utilize. But I'm going to go through each difficulty option. Why did I choose it that way? And these are just guidelines to try to help you find the ideal difficulty option that you like to go through. For me, my ideal difficulty rating is between 40 and 44%. This is the difficulty rating that I find the most fun for me, the most entertaining for me. It's not too easy to make me bored. It's not too difficult to make the game tedious for me. So I'm gonna go through them and explain. Control block direction, I don't play multiplayer, so I like to keep this on automatic. It's simply a mechanic that I don't want to deal with, so I'm keeping it on automatic. Besides that, I'm already using mostly shields for this, so it wouldn't really be a big deal if I bring it down a notch, for example, by mouse movement. It is going to increase your difficulty rating if you don't use it on automatic. So if you have that need to play on the most maximumist difficulty, and that's one way of adding a few more points to the percentage. Control attack direction. As I understand, most people use mouse movement. I like movement keys for my control attack direction. I simply find it easier. I learned the game that way. I like this style, and I'm going to keep it. This does not modify the difficulty rating. Lance control, I don't utilize lance, so I just keep it on hard. And even if I did utilize lance, I know how to utilize it, even on hard difficulty. So I just have that on max. Damage to players, now you have easiest option, easy, and normal. Please don't take these as easiest, easy, and normal. Take them as easy, normal, and hard. Okay? That's the idea behind them. I just like to go on a middle ground, easy. Okay, combat AI on maximum difficulty. I like my enemies to spaz out uncontrollably and attack me good. Campaign AI I usually keep on poor, and the reason for keeping the campaign AI on poor is simple. Campaign AI determines, well, it determines taxes and relations and some other stuff, but the main problem with Campaign AI is that it determines how fast the enemies respawn and gather up soldiers. It's stupidly unrealistic. Let me give you an example. If I attack a castle who has a garrison of 100 soldiers, and let's say I killed 50 of them, there are only 50 soldiers left, but I run out of troops, so I go grab more. and I miss one day, once I return the next day, they're not going to have 50 soldiers, they're going to have 200. It's that stupid. And in one day, 150 soldiers were added to the garrison. Now, come on. They're not rabbits, okay? They're not rabbits. They can't multiply and grow and train that many soldiers just like that. So, simply from a realism perspective, I keep the campaign AI on poor. Okay? But as I understand, I think campaign AI adds quite a few points. Yeah. But yeah, it's your choice if you want to go for it. I just simply did not find it realistic, so I keep it on poor. Combat speed on fastest. So there's a misunderstanding with combat speed. Some people say, oh, I put combat speed on fastest because it makes the soldiers on the field of battle move faster. It does not. Combat speed determines how fast are battles auto-calculated between AI. So if AI Lord from Swadia, I'm giving an example, if an AI Lord from Elentor fights against an AI Lord of the Reich des Rachen, it's the combat speed simply determines how fast their auto-cal will take place on the world map. So yeah, it doesn't increase your soldier speed, sadly. I tried and tested this out on both slowest and fastest, and there was no change on your soldiers. Battle size, this is your preference. I keep it on 300 because anything above 300 causes my computer to lag. I don't know why, it just doesn't work. And then these are your choice, what you go from here. This is the amount of information that you receive on the script. I do recommend that if you utilize leaf bombs, turn off report damage. Because if you throw a leaf bomb with report damage on and you hit a big pile of soldiers, it's going to show you 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4, 3, 5, 6 damage dealt. Just huge wall of text of damage that you dealt with one leaf bomb. And if you rapid fire leaf bombs, it's going to break the script. So just turn report damage off if you utilize leaf bombs. That's all I'm saying. It's going to save you a lot of headaches. And that's it. That's it. And now some of you are going to be asking, why are you not playing on the highest difficulty, Archpappy? What are you doing, Revol? Why are you being a pussy and stuff like that? And I'm going to answer this to you. If you like to play on max difficulty, play on max difficulty, because that's how you find enjoyment. That's how you feel fulfilled by this game. For those who play on easiest difficulty, play on easiest difficulty. Don't be ashamed about it. Because that's how you enjoy the video game. That's how you enjoy this game for you. Don't get influenced by people who tell you, oh, play on the max difficulty, you bastard, or something like that. It's stupid. I am playing on a middle ground. I fiddled around with the settings. I've played both on easiest and on the most difficult. Easiest, I find it boring for me. The most difficult, I find it manageable, but it's tedious. Just tedious. The fact that I have to hide from battle because I'm going to get one shot if I receive an arrow to the toe is not fun. So I found a middle ground for myself, and I've shown you this middle ground because it might work for you as well. You might find enjoyment out of it. But what I recommend is go and find your own difficulty setting, fiddle around with the stuff. I've explained each difficulty meter, what it does, and find the difficulty setting that entertains you the most. Because this is a video game. You need to enjoy video games. It's a goddamn video game. So find your own difficulty. Okay? And don't get influenced by others. Sure, Marius, if we're going to revisit certain mods, I'm going to play on max difficulty. That's just to show you guys how it works. But it's going to be tedious and annoying. But sure. So yeah, those are my recommendations on difficulty. And again, for those who say, oh, no, these are just excuses, play on the highest difficulty. Sure. Take them as excuses, then I don't care. Alright. No problem, my man. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, that is it for this guide. It's another, I think it's going to be around 2.5 hours guide, something around that ballpark, maybe a little bit more. But yeah, I'm going to be adding certain links to each topic to help you out. If I find any, for example, I'm going to link the wiki page to the quest list. And no, Marius, it's their opinion and it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly okay. All's good, man. But anyway, I'm going to be linking, guys, I'm also going to be linking timestamps with the topics in the video description and in the first comment of the video. And that's it. If you like what I do, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified when I put in new content. I have multiple playthroughs and guides on my YouTube channel. Go and check them out. Most likely this guide is linked in the playlist with the rest of the guides that I have on other mods on the channel. And if you're on Twitch, go support me. Hit that follow button. Subscribe if you want to further support me. And that is it. I really hope that this guide helps you beat Perisno. And not just beat Perisno, also enjoy the journey. Also, keep in mind, these are guidelines, these are suggestions. You don't have to follow these this guide to a T. Take them more as pointers and find a way to entertain yourself and enjoy yourself, because it's a video game in the end. So yeah, that is gonna be it. I wish you guys a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.